Cornwall at 4 degrees, whilst Glasgow sits at 8. That's right, the southwest colder than Scotland this Thursday morning. If you're re-scratching your head wondering how that is possible, you are about to find out. And more importantly, is your area about to face the most significant weather shift we've seen this winter season? Right now, as I am recording this on the 28th of January, we have multiple Met Office warnings active. An ice warning covers much of England and Wales, affecting over 20 million people. A rain warning sits across Devon and Cornwall, where the ground is completely saturated from Storm Chandra. And here is what matters. The weather patterns shifting over the next week could determine whether early February brings us average conditions or something far more interesting. I am going to walk you through exactly when each change arrives, which locations face the biggest impacts, and crucially, what the models are disagreeing about. Drop your city or county in the comments right now. Tomorrow's forecast will include personalised timing for your specific area, because the differences between Manchester and Birmingham, between Edinburgh and Inverness, they matter enormously over the next 7 days. Let me give you the concrete timing for 6 major locations. London, you are looking at 7 degrees today, dropping to 5 tomorrow. Then Saturday brings a sharp change I'll explain in a few minutes. Manchester, 8 degrees today, 6 tomorrow, but Sunday could surprise you. Birmingham sits at 7, falling to 6, weekend uncertain. Glasgow currently 8 degrees, staying relatively mild at 7 tomorrow, but early next week tells a different story. Cardiff at 7 degrees today, 6 tomorrow, and you are in the firing line for that rain warning extension. Belfast, you are at 7 degrees, 6 tomorrow, and the ice risk continues into Friday morning. Now, here's what nobody is talking about. Whilst everyone focuses on whether we'll see snow in early February, there's a more immediate concern. The Atlantic weather systems aren't behaving typically. Usually when we see unsettled weather in Britain, low-pressure systems track in from the North Atlantic, hammering western Scotland, Cumbria, North Wales with the heaviest rain. But look at what is happening now. These lows are tracking up from the Bay of Biscay, from south of us, meaning Devon, Cornwall, Somerset, Dorset, South Wales are taking the brunt. The ground is saturated, rivers are high. Another 50 millimeters across the southwest through Thursday afternoon and evening is why that yellow warning remains in force. The Met Office model and the European model are actually agreeing on this detail, which gives us confidence. Both show this slow-moving weather front dragging its heels across southern England tomorrow. Plymouth could see the heaviest burst between 1 o'clock and 5 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Exeter, Taunton, Bridgewater, you are in the same time frame. Bristol catches the northern edge around 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. By evening, it's pushing into Hampshire, Wiltshire, southern parts of Gloucestershire. Let me just clarify something about that Cornwall-Glasgow temperature inversion I mentioned. It is about the air mass. Scotland sits in relatively mild Atlantic air, whilst the southwest has colder air behind yesterday's weather front. It is temporary. By Friday, temperatures level out, but it shows how these battle zones between air masses create such variation across relatively short distances. Here's where it gets interesting. From Friday onwards, we enter a transition period. The Atlantic systems start to lose their grip, not completely, but there is a weakness developing. High pressure tries to build from our north and northeast. Now, I need to be honest with you. The models have been flip-flopping on this for 5 days. Yesterday's run showed a strong block developing. Today's run shows it weaker. Tomorrow's run might show something different again. This is why you need to check back tomorrow, because this detail matters enormously for next week's weather. For Newcastle, Sunderland and the northeast, persistent rain this morning clears by lunchtime. Thursday looks reasonable, but Saturday could bring wintry showers off the North Sea if easterly winds develop. Leeds, Sheffield, Nottingham, sea cloud breaking this afternoon. Friday starts frosty, then brightens up. Norwich, Ipswich and East Anglia face that easterly exposure this weekend. Temperatures struggle to 6 or 7 degrees, feeling like 3 or 4. Possible sleety showers Saturday afternoon. Wales sees varied conditions. Bangor relatively sheltered, temperatures around 7 degrees. Swansea catches that rain warning edge with 50 to 70 millimeters possible tomorrow. Aberystwyth could go either way. Oxford, Reading, Basingstoke stay mostly dry until tomorrow evening, then 10 to 20 millimeters overnight. Southampton, Portsmouth, Brighton on the southern edge, 20 to 30 millimeters possible. Kent, including Dover, Canterbury, Maidstone, stays fairly dry tomorrow but exposed to easterly winds this weekend. 6 degrees, feeling like 2 on Sunday. Midlands locations Leicester, Coventry, Wolverhampton see afternoon rain tomorrow, nothing too heavy. Weekend depends on whether high pressure builds. Scotland needs particular attention. Aberdeen, that persistent rain finally clears Friday. If northerly flow develops next week, you are looking at temperatures struggling to get above freezing with potential snow showers. Inverness and the Highlands continue seeing snow above 400 metres. Next week, snow levels could drop significantly if patterns shift. Perth, Dundee, Stirling see reasonable conditions Thursday and Friday with sunny spells. Monitor daily forecasts next week as conditions could change markedly. Let me address one thing. I am seeing comments asking why forecasts keep predicting cold and it doesn't materialise. Fair question. The honest answer is we are in a pattern where the cold air exists. It's just north and east of us. Whether it reaches Britain depends on pressure patterns that are difficult to pin down beyond 5 days. The models show different solutions. Some bring the cold, some don tea. That is why I show you the uncertainty rather than over-promising. Wait until you see what I'm about to show you about the stratosphere. This matters for early February and possibly beyond. But first, let me cover more locations because timing differences are crucial. Liverpool and the northwest see breezy conditions tomorrow with scattered showers, temperatures around 7 degrees. Friday starts at 4 degrees, climbing to 8. Blackpool Irish Sea exposure generates heavier showers. Lancaster and Preston might see brief wintry showers on higher ground Friday morning. Chester, Wrexham, Shrewsbury get afternoon rain tomorrow. York and Harrogate face frosty Friday morning starts -1 or -2 in the Vale of York. London sees persistent evening rain tomorrow, 10 to 15 millimetres overnight into Friday. Friday morning commute potentially damp before afternoon brightening. Weekend temperatures 6 or 7 degrees, feeling like 3 or 4 if easterly winds develop, or 9 to 10 degrees, but cloudier if Atlantic air persists. Northern Ireland, particularly Belfast, continues ice warnings overnight, with temperatures dropping below freezing. Friday morning brings another cold start, -1 or -2 possible, then 6 or 7 degrees by afternoon. Derry, Armagh and Newry see similar patterns with ice risks Friday morning. Coastal areas face specific conditions. Devon and Cornwall see gusts to 80 kilometres per hour tomorrow on exposed coasts with saturated ground making tree falls possible. East coast locations including Scarborough, Whitby, Great Yarmouth face cold raw conditions this weekend if easterly winds develop. 6 degrees feeling like 2. South coast areas Bournemouth, Weymouth get tomorrow's rain, 30 to 40 millimetres through Thursday afternoon. Penzance and Land SN see earlier arrival around midday with potentially 70 millimetres in worst hit spots. About the stratosphere, something happening at 30 kilometres altitude could influence weather 2 weeks from now. The polar vortex is under pressure from warming on either side. If both warmings squeeze enough to split it, 10 days to 2 weeks later, we often see surface impacts, colder conditions, blocking patterns, northerly or easterly winds. The GFS model shows a split around 8th February. The European model shows warming but not full split. This matters because sudden stratospheric warming could make early to mid-February significantly colder, or we stay unsettled with average temperatures. Models are flipping between solutions daily. This explains forecast uncertainty and why checking back tomorrow matters. Now let me explain the hope pivot, because whilst tomorrow looks grim for the southwest, and whilst uncertainty clouds next week, there are positive aspects. If we do transition to high pressure, even if it's not the Arctic blast some want, we get drier weather. Settled conditions, opportunity for ground to drain, rivers to drop, floodwater to recede. If we get easterly winds but they relight, we see cold, crisp days, sunny, beautiful winter weather, frosty mornings, clear afternoons. That is not a bad outcome. Even if we stay unsettled, the models are not showing anything like Storm Chandra returning. We're re-talking showers, not prolonged heavy rain, manageable conditions. The model comparison I promised earlier. The Met Office model shows high pressure trying to build from the north early next week. It's weak, it is tentative, but it is there. This would bring settled cold conditions, northerly or northeasterly winds. Temperatures struggling to reach 6 or 7 degrees, lower in the north. The European model shows that high pressure weaker. It allows Atlantic systems to continue pushing in. This keeps us unsettled but milder. 8 to 10 degrees, cloudy, occasional rain. The American GFS model is somewhere between. It shows high pressure building but not blocking completely. A hybrid situation, some cold, some Atlantic influence. Mixed conditions. Which is right, we'll know better tomorrow, and better still on Friday. By the weekend, forecasts for early next week should have much higher confidence. This is why daily updates matter in patterns like this. The models are refining their solutions. Each run adds information. But here's the crucial point. Even if we don't get the big cold snap some people want, we are still looking at a shift. The relentless Atlantic bombardment eases. We get some drier weather. That's a positive outcome for flood-affected areas. Let me bring everything together. Tomorrow, Thursday the 29th, the headline is rain across the southwest, yellow warning in force. Flooding risk elevated. Elsewhere, a reasonable day after a cold, icy start in places. Friday the 30th, brightening up nationally. Cold start, especially Scotland, Northern Ireland, Northern England. Then sunshine developing, temperatures 4 to 8 degrees north to south. Weekend, Saturday and Sunday, this is where uncertainty increases. Possibility of easterly winds bringing colder feel. Possibility of Atlantic systems continuing. The range of outcomes is 6 degrees and cloudy versus 10 degrees and showery. Confidence is lower than ID like. Early next week, first days of February, either we see high pressure building bringing settled cold conditions, or we see continued Atlantic influence bringing unsettled average conditions. The stratospheric developments I mentioned could tip the scales toward colder, but that S not guaranteed. Here is what I can say with confidence. The utterly miserable, relentless heavy rain and strong winds pattern eases after tomorrow. Even if we stay unsettled, it's showery rather than persistent. That is an improvement. Ground conditions will slowly improve. Rivers will slowly drop. The flood situation will slowly ease unless we get exceptional rainfall, which models Don T suggest. For those asking about snow, lowland snow in England and Wales remains unlikely in the next 7 days. Scottish mountains, yes. Northern hills, possibly. But Glasgow, Edinburgh, Manchester, Birmingham, London, lowland snow is not on the cards this week. Next week, small possibility if patterns shift dramatically, but low confidence. Let me remind you one final time. Comment below with your location. Tomorrow, S4cast will have updated model data. I'll have clearer information about next week. I'll provide personalised timing for your area. Whether you are in Dover or Dingwall, Penzance or Perth, I want to help you prepare. Thank you for watching. I know weather forecasts right now require patience. The uncertainty is frustrating, but it's better to show you the uncertainty honestly than to promise cold snaps that Don T materialize or play down flood risks that are real. Tomorrow, S4cast drops at 7 o'clock in the morning. I'll have the overnight model runs analyzed. We'll have better clarity on early February. Until then, stay safe out there, particularly if you are in the southwest tomorrow afternoon. Do check back tomorrow because, as I've explained, this is a dynamic situation. The models are updating, the forecast is evolving, and your patience with this process is genuinely